So if there's one thing that happened this week or one theme, it would be this. Trump is thinks he is so much better than you and me. Trump is above the common citizen. He's making a way for a ballroom that's going to fit royalty, which by the way is nearly double the size of the White House, setting up a massive taxpayer funded payday for himself. And he continues to go after his enemies while, regular Americans like you and I are increasingly facing higher consumer prices from tariffs, rising gas, skyrocketing healthcare premiums, and the government shutdown continues. And by the way, food benefits like food stamps are at risk. And Congress just gave themselves another week off. That's 5 weeks in a row. I'm Adam Kinzinger. I served in Congress for 12 years. I was an Air Force pilot for 22. And this is your week in review. So let's talk about what's been happening. So you've probably seen this thing about the East Wing of the White House being destroyed. What's actually one of the most egregious things about this is the White House is considered a historic building. The White House is not Donald Trump's. It's not any president. The president is allowed to use it while the president is president, but it belongs to the people of the United States that allow the president to live there. So if there's any changes that are made to the White House that are structural or big or cost a lot of money, that has to be approved by the people. Who's our voice? The House and the Senate. Donald Trump has made a decision to build a big, giant ballroom that's bigger than the White House on the East Wing. He's made the decision to raise money from the outside for it, which I think is actually a big concern. And he did it. He made the decision to destroy the historic East Wing of the White House just on a whim. And so here's where we are. Here's where we're going to go. Now, here's the problem with what I said when $300 million, he claims he's going to raise that in outside funds. I would rather, if the president was going to do it, almost that the taxpayers pay for it because we own it. Instead, now you're going to have businesses and individuals paying the bill that, of course, do it for one reason. They're doing it because they want to get favor with Donald Trump. They want Donald Trump to notice them. They want to get preferential treatment. That is called crony capitalism. And we should be against crony capitalism. People in the United States of America need to be treated fairly, need to be treated equally. And this is a chance, if you are a rich person who wants to get on the president's good side, just go pay for part of his ballroom that I am sure he is going to name the Trump Ballroom. So this is egregious. You know what else is egregious? Donald Trump, before he was reelected president, sued the Department of Justice because of the cases that they brought against him. Now, the cases that they brought against him were dropped. Why? Not because the cases were egregious or wrong. They were dropped because Donald Trump became president. He's in charge of the Department of Justice, and he told them to drop the cases against him. Okay, that's bad enough. But what's worse is he's continuing this lawsuit against the very Department of Justice that he has said, you need to drop your cases. So they did it. Yes, sir. And now he's suing for $230 million. And who makes the decision about whether he gets the money? Donald Trump does. So Donald Trump is setting himself up to pay $230 million of taxpayer funds to himself simply because he made a decision to sue a completely egregious lawsuit and he's in charge. Now, here's a question. What would stop every future president from suing the government for however much money, and then when they become president, giving themselves that money because they've agreed to settle? Look, in Latin America, in dictatorships around the world, you see crazy things that happen. Crazy money is stolen from the countries, from the taxpayers of that country. But you never see it so open as this. So blatant as this. Who should be the people that could stop this? Of course, Congress and the Senate, right? Wrong. Republican senators have said anything from, yeah, that's fine, he should do it, to, I'm kind of concerned about the money, but he definitely deserves something. Come on, Lindsey Graham, by the way, Lindsey. So yeah, I think that's wrong that he pays himself taxpayer funds for something that's completely made up. I'm curious in the comments what you think. I think it'll be hard to see anybody that actually defends us. Jack Smith, who was the January 6th independent counsel in the Department of Justice that was going after Donald Trump for the classified documents issue for his role in January 6th. Was fired when Donald Trump became president. Again, the investigations were closed. And now the House Judiciary Committee wants to call Jack Smith in to testify about the investigations. Jack Smith has said, sure, I'll come in, but I want to do it publicly and on television because I want the American people to see. I think that's brilliant. I think the committee would have almost no choice but to let him come in and testify publicly when he's saying that. He's like, look, I'll be transparent just for me. And they should be very scared because the truth is, when the investigations were closed on Donald Trump, Jack Smith knows all the dirt, but he didn't release any of it because the investigations were closed. Now, if he's testifying and they ask certain questions, I don't know, maybe he can talk about some of the things he knows that nobody else does. So this is a very big risk for the House Judiciary Committee. They're also reinvestigating the January 6th committee that I served on for the second time, by the way. Last Congress, they investigated it. Now they're doing it again. Bring it. Like, call me in. I would love to testify as well. Look, January 6th was a terrible day. I was there. If you want to try to rewrite it and pretend it wasn't what it was, I would love to come in and set the record straight and remind people exactly what the Republican members of that committee said on that day. Most of them said, this is egregious, awful, etc. And they've changed their mind for some reason. Oh, I know why, because Donald Trump told them to. Well, let's talk about increasing costs. It came out today that inflation's continuing to rise at about 3%. So companies in the U.S., because of these tariffs, so far have passed about 37% by a certain study of those extra costs from those imported tariffs onto consumers, which means about 63% they've eaten. So they've allowed that to cut into their profit margin. But the same study is saying that soon those firms they can't eat this anymore, and they will have to adjust their pricing, which means many of the goods that you and I buy and use will go up significantly in price, particularly anything that's Chinese that has a 100% tariff on it. That's going to skyrocket inflation. It is a regressive tax, basically. Think about it. If you're wealthy, increasing cost of goods doesn't mean much to you. If you're poor, it means a lot more. It's a much higher percent of your income. So this tax is actually a regressive tax that hits the very poor much, much harder than others. But that tariff burden is pushing this price increase. You know what else is about to increase is the healthcare premium costs if you are on Obamacare. So the Republicans, when they passed their big, beautiful bill, which is anything but that, stopped the premium tax credits that the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare had, which helped to bring the cost down of what you have to pay to be on healthcare. They killed that as a way to save money that they could spend giving tax cuts to the millionaires and billionaires. Well, the Democrats have been fighting to keep those tax credits in, okay, so that your Obamacare continues to stay as cheap as it has been. In fact, it's part of the reason they're not agreeing to vote for whatever the Republicans put in front of them. The Republicans closed down government and need to find a way to come with the Democrats to extend this, because if they need Democratic votes, sure, but it's going to cost, right? There's a cost to that. Anyway, let's give you an example of what they're projected to rise to. Some estimates are like up to 136%. So if you're paying $460 a month for healthcare, now it's going to be $1,087, more than doubling. If you're paying $1,000, closer to $2,000. How many of you can afford that? Some states are actually facing increases above 300%. Insurers had already proposed a small hike in 2026 because of the cost pressure. This would be massive. So as the government continues to stay shut down, we're coming closer to the day when we're going to see massive increases in healthcare costs. By the way, what do you think Congress and the House of Representatives should be doing right now? They should be in D.C., right? Trying to find a way through this. Well, guess what's happened? Today, Mike Johnson, your favorite speaker ever, has made a decision to give Congress another week off. They haven't been in about 6 weeks, and they get paid $174,000 a year. Now, what are they doing? Are they going to do a bunch of town halls? Nope. Are they going to go around Traveler District? Nope. They're just taking the time off and enjoying it. What a great job if you can get it. And so we talk about another thing that's coming at risk. November 1st, SNAP benefits. These are often called commonly food stamps. If the government is not reopened and they're not extended, then as of November 1st, there will be significant cuts to food stamps. Who's that going to affect? It's not going to affect me. It's not going to affect the wealthy. It's not going to really even affect kind of the middle to the middle upper class. It'll affect the people that need it the most, the people that are down and out. And instead, that's going to be yanked from them. And we're not talking about just fun, free money. We're talking about food that you eat. And that's at risk come November 1st. Do you think the Republicans care? I don't. I know how they think. Two other quick things. Venezuela. Look, Venezuela is facing military pressure now. Yesterday, the U.S. flew 2 B-1s towards Venezuela, and they turned around. I know what they were doing. I can't say it because I'm not sure if it's classified. But there is a lot of pressure that Maduro, the illegitimate, unelected dictator of Venezuela, is coming under. We continue to bomb these drug boats. We're doing that, I believe, illegally. But we're doing that as a way to go against, the drugs that are shuttling here. And then we don't know what the goal in Venezuela is of the Trump administration. That's why it's important for them to communicate that with us, to let us know what our men and women potentially could be doing and what the goal is. One thing we've learned from war in the last couple decades is that you have to have an objective and a way to achieve that objective. I hate Maduro, the head of Venezuela. If Maduro died or went away, I wouldn't shed a tear, and I think it would be a good thing. The problem is, not sure I trust Trump and Hegseth to carry this out. If it does happen, though, I will pray for the safety of our troops and for their success. Lastly is the U.S. were in trade talks with Canada. And as of this morning, those trade talks were suspended. Now, why? Is it because Canada did some unfair trade practice or did he? Nope. It's because Doug Ford, who is either the mayor of Toronto or might be the governor now of Ontario, put out an ad in the United States, and all it is a 1-minute ad with Ronald Reagan, and Ronald Reagan talking about tariffs. Ronald Reagan opposed tariffs. He thought they were bad. Because they put that commercial out, and it makes Donald Trump look like the little tiny wiener he is, he canceled trade talks. Okay, guys, this is a guy that's supposed to be a man, okay? He acts like he's this alpha male. He acts like he's tough. But he's canceling trade talks because, I don't know, Doug Ford hurt his feelings? God, what a whiny little child. Anyway, that's a bit of what's going on. Congress has the week off again, so, go get a job in Congress if you can. It's like the easiest thing you do right now. Thank you for watching. Look, hit like, hit subscribe to this channel, and stay in touch. We put out videos almost every other day, try to keep you updated on what's going on. You can follow me also on TikTok and Instagram. TikTok, there's a bunch of fake ones. So mine is OG Adam_Kinzinger. Follow me there. And also check out our new merch. It's really good stuff. It's wearthemoutproducts.com. WEAR. Themoutproducts.com. Take a look. Some good stuff there. Rolling out some new stuff too. Thank you. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.